is walking exercise? Does it really make sense? Is walking, is that all I need to do in order to lose weight, be healthy, have good longevity, lower my blood sugars, lower my blood pressure? Is that all I need? Or is walking just walking? We'll have to see and find out. So I'm Dr. B, the Fitness MD, and I want to answer 3 questions for everybody today. Number 1, how much exercise do we need? Like, how often do we have to exercise? Next, what is exercise, right? What does that actually mean? And 3, is walking exercise? And for the second part, we're really going to go into cardiovascular exercise. We're not going to talk about lifting and all that other stuff today. Maybe another day, but today we're going to really talk about cardiovascular exercise. I'm going to delve into that. So in order to do that, we first got to do it the first one, right? How much exercise do I need first, right? So the American College of Sports Medicine states that a person needs at least 300 minutes of moderate exercise per week or 150 minutes of high intensity exercise. Now, you can do those type of exercises in a variety of formats. You can go outside for a run, you can go for a swim, you can go for a brisk walk, let's say, or an incline walk, or a really nice hike. I personally do cycling in order to get that exercise, but you can also go to the gym. You do need to also get 2 to 3 days of resistance-based therapy, and I also recommend for most of my patients some core-based exercises to be inside there. Now, when we go back to the topic of is walking exercise, let's first kind of define what is exercise. And when I ask about exercise, what am I really talking about? And in this case, I'm really talking about cardiovascular fitness. Now, cardiovascular fitness is separated into 5 different categories when we think of the heart rate. So when we talk about cardiovascular training, you can see here it says Zone 1 training right now, and that's for the cardiovascular system. Zone 0, what's that then? That's anything below 50%. So if you're sleeping, you're zone 0. If you are eating, you're zone 0. If you're stretching, you're zone 0. Most people, when they do light yoga and those type of things, you're probably zone 0. When you're meditating, you're zone 0. And guess what? When you're walking, you're probably in zone 0. We're not going to discuss zone 0 and its different parts and what's a great resting heart rate and HRV and all those things. That's not for this discussion. But we are going to tackle the different zones. So zone 1, that is 50 to 60% of your maximum heart rate. Now, your maximum heart rate, let's say it's 200 beats per minute. That's for a younger person in general. And if it's 200 beats per minute, that means at 100 beats per minute to 120 beats per minute, you are in zone 1. To get into zone 2, you need to be 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. Zone 3, 70 to 80%. Zone 4, 80 to 90%. I think you guys get the idea. But basically, zone 5 is when that person is at 180 to 200 beats per minute. And frankly, they feel like they're dying. That's the only thing that I can tell you. When you're in that zone, you don't feel very good. It feels terrible. And frankly, you can't maintain it for a long period of time. So let's get back to exercise and the fact that we do play in all these different zones. But if you're someone who's just starting out, should you be doing zone 5? Probably not. Zone 4, you can, but it's going to be really difficult and most likely you won't continue exercising. Zone 3, not a bad spot. Zone 2, that's the money spot right there. Now, if you don't have a tracker or any of those different devices, that will help you understand what your different zones are and what your maximum heart rate is. One easy way to do it is what we use something called the RPE, or Relative Perceived Exertion. Relative Perceived Exertion. And as you can guess, it goes from 0 all the way to 10. And what really is this RPE for then? Well, RPE 4 is when you're doing a light to moderate effort. You can hold a conversation, but you can't sing. If you can sing, you're going a little bit too easy, probably in zone 1. You're breathing heavier than if you're resting, and you get a light sweat when you're doing this. This is a great phenomenal range to be in. Why? Because you can do it for a really long time. And you can do it consistently. So your muscles shouldn't hurt, your joints shouldn't hurt, whether you're cycling or swimming or running, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. This is this particular level that you can do and do it for a long period of time because your cardiovascular system can hold up to it and you won't die or suffer while you're doing it. This is the zone that you can be able to do for multiple hours. And this is the zone that a lot of athletes train in, and they call it base training. It's usually zone 2, sometimes zone 1, that's when they're doing an active recovery, is what they call it. But zone 2 is the area where everyone can do, and it's different for everyone. So if you take someone that's morbidly obese, their zone 2, based on the fact that they're moving a large amount of body mass, that means walking for them can be exercise. And I actually ran some numbers just to see what does it look like. And I'm going to be honest, I use ChatGPT because frankly, it's a tool and I'm going to use it because I'm a doctor. Doctors are really trained to use different tools to try helping out our patients. So if we say, hey, if I'm the average American man and woman, and I am trying to do cardiovascular exercise and I am walking for it, right? Doing my 10,000 steps, how many calories would I burn? And really the big difference between a man and a woman, you can see there's a range here, which I put down here, but it's really about stride length. The person who's taller has a bigger stride, so they will cover more distance. And the stride length, of course, it takes more energy, of course. But this is the difference between a man and a woman in this case. And I did it for different weights. And I'm leaving it up here. Everybody can see it. So if you're a woman and you are walking your 10,000 steps per day and you weigh 150 pounds, or a man, you're burning 349 to 380 calories in that walking session, right? So that's a decent amount of calories. That's a decent amount of energy that takes in order to do that. But really, how much is that, right? How many calories is that? So I looked it up. It's basically one Egg McMuffin at Mickey D's. That's how many calories you burn doing 10,000 steps. Now we look at the 200-pound person, right? Woman, 465. Man, 504. Now, that's a decent amount of calories burnt for that person. But usually if you're 200 pounds, you're probably eating a little bit more than one Egg McMuffin for breakfast. So in this case, you're talking about someone who had 2 fried eggs, 2 pieces of bacon, and a toast, right? That's that person. That burns all those calories. That's how much you could eat and easily erase those benefits that you gained in that walk. Now you're 250 pounds. You're going to burn 581 to 630 calories. That's a decent amount of calories right there. But if you go back to Mickey D's and you get 3 hot cakes and put some butter and some syrup on there, well, guess what? You've erased that, and actually it's a little bit higher. So that is how many calories that is if you do 10,000 steps per day, right? Now, if you are 300 pounds, that's a decent amount, right? That's a lot of calories there. Even for 250, it's quite high. But for the 300 pounds, you're talking 700 to 756 basically. And that is again, going out to Mickey D's, get a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, some hash browns, and an OJ, right? So kind of what you're getting out of this as well is understanding that, yes, if someone is 150 pounds and they're going out for a walk, they are really not burning that many calories. And same thing for this person. And guess what? I had this person walking at 3.5 miles per hour. And so that's a fairly decent pace. It's not a fast pace, but that's a fairly decent pace, right? To be walking and doing that consecutively for 10,000 steps and doing that every single day. So for this person here who's dieting and doing all the right stuff, this I would say is a good amount of calories burnt, right? For this person, they got to jog and run probably for an hour just to burn this amount of calories. But for this person, this is a good amount of calories, especially with the diet. And frankly, when it comes down to weight loss, I'm going to tell you guys the truth. If you don't know this yet, your diet matters more. You can't if you eat, no matter what you eat, you can't outrun what you ate. So you have to eat properly. You're not going to lose weight solely by doing 10,000 steps. So now, is walking exercise? Well, it depends. Most people, it is not exercise. It is a way of moving, and does it burn additional calories? Yes. And in obesity medicine, we do consider a lot of walking to be non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT. So it's a great way of moving around. It's a great way of doing things. Sitting in your car, driving to the mailbox is a bad idea, period. But if you can get up and walk around and move, please do it. It's a great thing to add into your daily activity, but don't let it take over your exercise routine. Don't make it so that, oh, I walked for 30 minutes a day, I'm done. No, for most people, again, we're not hitting that zone 2, that level in which we are now breathing a little bit heavily, we're sweating a little bit, and we are able to have a conversation, but we definitely can't sing. Because for most of us, it's an enjoyment. We're walking, we're chatting with our friends, or we're on the phone chatting, and it's definitely better than sitting down and watching TV. But please get some exercise on top of that. And when it comes to exercise, the reason why I recommend Zone 2 for most of my patients is that when you have consistency along with accountability, that's why I kind of recommend some fitness tracker of some sort, you get success. And that's what I want for every one of my patients. I want you all to be successful in what you do. I'm going to spend time on this show or this podcast or however you're viewing it on YouTube, educating you to help you out to become better, faster, stronger, healthier, so that as most of you are in your working stages of life or getting into the working stages of life, right now you are living that life that is dedicated to working and making money. But when you're done, you're going to retire. And when you're retired, you want to do the things you want to do. You don't want to see someone like me. You want to go and be outside, having fun, doing sports, whether it's golfing, swimming, cycling, it doesn't matter. I want you to enjoy what you want to do. And so that's me signing off. Until then, stay healthy.